All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? And this is the 6 Months Behind podcast for the week's start over. You count it down, or are you just going to start it?
All right. 3, 2, 1.
What's up? This is the 6 Months Behind podcast, a podcast about Marvel Unlimited comics and the comics that came out for the week of 4/18/16. Is that right? Yeah, 4/18/2016. Yes, that is correct. I'm Pat.
I'm Sean.
And we are here to talk about Marvel Unlimited, why we love Marvel Unlimited, and everything you can read for the amazing price of $9.99 a month.
People are going to think we're getting paid to do this podcast, and I promise we're not. We just really like Marvel Unlimited because we're nerds on a budget.
You know, I was thinking that today. They're going to think, we really are like pimping this for Marvel, and we're not. We just like, yes, we're nerds on a budget.
Yeah, we're nerds on a budget, and we want to read our comic books and eat food that isn't ramen noodles.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah. I mean, it's if you read the new books that came out this week, how many books are on that list? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, not counting the books that got dumped. There's like 15 if you don't count the books that got dumped. So at an average price of $4 a piece, dude, that's like it's like $50-$60 in books. I mean, you can't afford that, man. You just can't. At least I can't. Okay, I have a house, a wife, kids, car payment. I'm not spending $60 mortgage. Yeah. I'm not spending $60 a week on comic books. I did 10 years ago. I did 20 years ago. Did when I was a kid. Or they weren't $60 a week. But yeah, they were a quarter. I could buy. Yeah.
Just not in the cards anymore. But anyway, we're here to discuss the comic books in Marvel Unlimited. But first, you had some news that you wanted to share with us.
I did. It was. Here's what I did. Is it's just I can't resist, even though we're reading what came out 6 months ago. I still go to CBR. Actually, CBR, you have to be dedicated to comic books to subscribe to the CBR email. Okay, because if you subscribe to CBR's email, have you ever done it?
No, I follow them on Twitter, but that's about it.
Dude, they will blow up your email. Okay, they're sending you like 20 emails a day. I mean, everything happens to every comic book movie, everything that happens to every comic book company. They're sending you an email about it. So
they really want you to sign up for that email list too. Every time I go to their website, it's like, hey, sign up for our newsletter. I'm like, no, thanks.
You think about it. That is literally, not exaggerating, between 12 and 20 emails a day. Dude, and some of them are like good, because we're going to talk about a couple of them today. Okay. So some of them are actually pretty good. I mean, a couple of them actually influenced me to do things in this podcast. So, but most of them I just hit delete. I'm just deleting as I go. No, I don't care about that Dark Horse comic. I don't care about that Image comic. No, I don't care about that DC movie. I'm just deleting all the way down. Okay.
I check in on their Twitter occasionally, and I always see it in my feed. So I keep up on most of the news, but
what I saw was the Avengers is having a crossover that's been going on for a couple of months, and it kind of reached a new phase today. And there was like a 4 or 5 page teaser there, and I read it. I think I showed you the link, and you read it. And you can actually go to our website, www.6monthsbehind.com, all spelled out. 6 is spelled out. And you find the link there in the news and notes. If you want to get the details of what we're talking about, you go see it, see what's going to happen, what we're going to be reading in 6 months from now. If you don't, I'm not going to give you any teasers, so don't feel like I'm spoiling anything here for you. But I read it, and I was like, well, that's cool, because you see all the characters. You're like, oh, this person's still there, that person's there. Oh, this person lived through Secret Wars. This person came back from that event. This person's an Avenger now. And what's really cool is it's just seeing Deadpool as an Avenger. Okay, we saw that last week. We in
Uncanny
what
Avengers.
Was that preview? Uncanny Avengers.
Yeah,
well, that's this week actually. We're going to talk about this week. Well, we saw it in the preview Avengers comic book last week, I think. Or maybe it was week before.
It was week before last. We saw We saw a big preview of all the Avengers.
Yeah, and then he's in Uncanny Avengers this week. Just seeing Deadpool as an Avenger, every time I see him, it's just great. I mean, an honest to God card carrying Avenger. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the preview you got was Captain America handing him a membership card.
An honest to God Avengers membership card. You know, not the thing that Tony gave him in like what was it, Axis, I think, where Tony like gave him a fake card or something.
But I don't remember that.
But he got a real card this time. Anyway, so you see all these characters, and there's this great little storyline that they're carrying on for 3 pages too, which was pretty cute. But it shows us where we're going to be in 6 months. So you get to see the excitement of like, hey, I get to read all these books for the next 6 months to see where we're going to be in 6 months. And I thought it was pretty cool. You know, I thought, well, it's pretty neat. You know, now I know where we're going, and I know it's going to, you know, how it's going to be. I think a couple of years ago, I read a X-Men teaser about a Doctor Strange and Magic storyline.
Yes.
And which was pretty funny. And then you and I we waited like 6 or 7 months, and then the book finally came out, and we read up to it. It was pretty funny. Magic warped into his house and caught him in bed with a woman, and Doctor Strange is like, is this really this important? She was like, well, yeah, it's kind of the end of the universe. He was like, well, okay, I guess it is that important.
Yeah, and what you may not have picked up in that is it's not current Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange from like 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was.
She went back in time.
Yeah, she was going back in time to be trained by Doctor Strange because she couldn't trust the current Doctor Strange to train her. It was pretty funny. It was a great story. Yep. Anyway, so we were reading it in the past and in the future, and she was time traveling. Well, it gets confusing. There you go. Okay, on to this week's books. Yeah.
Yes, this week in books. Not a ton of like new stuff. But you had about 30 books come out, not including some of the older dump stuff. We'll start off with all the Secret Wars tie-ins.
Yes, 1872 number 4. Did you read that?
You
read any of the 1872 books?
I read the first issue and then totally forgot it was a thing. I saw I saw this issue and I went, oh yeah, that was a series I was reading. Oops.
It was pretty good. It was all the Avengers set in Timely, Arizona, I think. And the Avengers are, I think, Wilson Fisk is the mayor of Timely, and Roxxon Corporation has dammed the water up the river, so they're battling Roxxon, and basically all the villains you can think of are, you know, Bullseye's there, the Owl's there.
Yeah, it's a classic Western with Marvel characters.
Yeah, and you get drunk Tony. You don't get sober Tony. You get drunk Tony.
Oh yeah, you do get drunk Tony Stark, which is nice.
You get drunk Tony Stark, which is entertaining.
Well, sort of.
It's a good read. It's a good read. It had a good ending. They killed so many characters along the way. So many characters live, which is, you know, as we've discussed before, some of the interesting thing about these Secret Wars limited series is it doesn't matter. So, you know, you can kill who you want to, you can live who you want to. It doesn't really matter, man. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the first issue that I read. You know, and I think it was just one of those that I had so many books to read, it just fell off the pile. But I think I'm going to go back and finish it since it
was one of the better books. It was one of the better Secret Wars limited series. I enjoyed it. I did. The next one up was Age of Apocalypse number 5, which, if you enjoyed the original Age of Apocalypse series, you would probably enjoy this book. And actually, I'll tell you the truth. It kind of drug a lot the first couple of issues, and then the last issue was really good. The last issue was really I would almost say skip the first 4 and just read the last one. If you're familiar with the X characters, just read the last one because the last one's so good. That's what I would almost tell you.
Okay, I may do that then because I have not read this, but I'm familiar with the Age of Apocalypse story.
If you're familiar with the Age of Apocalypse story, just read the last one. I won't tell you how it ends, but if you're an X-Men fan, you're familiar enough with those characters. Just read the last one. You're like, yeah, that's a cool ending. Yeah, that's when you resurrect that character and they just start killing people. That's a cool ending, you know. And again, they kill a bunch of people along the way, resurrect a couple. There you go. Yeah, it's
now
a good
I'm intrigued.
Book. You should. It's a good book. And after reading number 5, you may go back to number 1 and start over. So there you go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Agents of Atlas #1. Where did Agents of Atlas come from? Anybody know?
No. It's an older book or an older team book that, if I remember correctly, you've always been kind of an Agents of Atlas fan, haven't you?
Dude, no. I'd never heard them before.
Okay. Really?
No, never have.
All right. They had a series about 5 or 6 years ago, and it got canceled after like 10 issues. But
really, do I remember that?
I don't know. Do you?
Dude, I need to break out my Marvel Encyclopedia or Wikipedia and figure out who those guys are, man. I don't.
Yeah, there's some older, more classic characters that they've been trying to update, and apparently something happened on the ESPN, and yeah, I don't.
The Braves are in a rain delay. Thank you very much.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going to lose the game anyway. So
I just muted the phone. So there you go. Okay. Thank you.
They're not going to win that game. It doesn't matter.
Well, let me summarize the book for you.
Yeah,
it's a battle world. Baron Zemo is in charge of the battle world, and it's basically it's just a slave world for making parts for Doom's war machine for all intents and purposes. And Phil Coulson is in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and is in charge of the security for Battle World, but secretly he's helping Jimmy Woo and Man-Ape, who I really thought was a DC character. And then I see him there, and I guess he's a Marvel character.
You're thinking of
I don't know.
It's the ape who's really
Flash this year. The Flash fought this year.
Well, that was
the Flash TV series.
There was Gorilla Grodd, but there's also Man something. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway,
whatever.
So you got all these characters, and they wind up rebelling against Zemo and Zemo's son, and it's not a bad read. It's a one shot. It's not a series. It's a one shot. As a one shot, it's a pretty cool read.
I might actually read it if it's a one shot, because I'm not a one shot Agents of Atlas guy, but if it's just
when I saw
book, then
when I saw it, I thought, they're winding down this whole Secret Wars thing, so they can't be launching another miniseries. And then I opened it up, and sure enough, it was a one shot, and I was like, okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, so that wraps up the Secret Wars stuff. Secret Wars is almost completely wound down. When I looked at the books for next week, there's not even a Secret Wars book there. I'll just throw it in for good measure. Who knows when we're going to get 7, 8, and 9? I don't know when we're going to get 7, 8, and 9. I'd love to tell y'all how Secret Wars ended, because eventually you get so far into these new books that it becomes hard not to understand how Secret Wars ended.
Right. At some point, you've got to know how it ended to understand what's going on now.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about Iron Man 2 in a moment. And you see Dr. Doom walking around, and you're just like, well, how did this happen? How did he go from where he is in Secret Wars to here? Well, there's a reason. There's a very good reason, but I can't tell you what it is. I mean, it's just, I can't tell you. So anyway, okay. And that brings us to the all new, all different books, which begins with Amazing Spider-Man #2. And you had some real thoughts on that.
Yeah. Pardon me. First of all, Alex Ross killing it on the cover art. Just killing it.
Dude, I looked at that and I just thought, I don't know why they're hiring Alex Ross for those covers, but I love Alex Ross, man. About once every 3 months, I just go back and read Marvels just so I can look at his art.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a great series.
I just love Alex Ross, man. I do.
Yeah, who doesn't? He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got Spider-Man running around, helping, being Peter Parker's bodyguard. Peter Parker is CEO of Parker Industries, who's the big tech company, and it kind of seems like they're giving Peter Parker the Tony Stark treatment. He's this big time innovator, and he's running around saving the world as Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's technically his bodyguard, and this can't be. It can't be a coincidence.
Did you read Superior Spider-Man? Did you read Don Slott's Superior Spider-Man?
Absolutely, it was fantastic, and the whole thing is on
Marvel
Unlimited. And
yes, it is for $9.99 a month.
Some of the best Spider-Man writing in years.
Do you ever watch Monday Night Raw?
No.
You ever watch WWE Network?
Not
they
really.
Spend so much time selling the WWE Network.
Yeah, it's like a joke, isn't it?
It's a running joke, man. They'll actually have signs holding them up for $9.99 a month. It's funny. Anyway,
yeah, it's like a meme within the community.
Yes, I mean they just they've done it so much, and they've been told to say it so much that they all just do it out of habit, and it's a running joke at this point because they sell $9.99 a month so much. Anyway, go ahead. I remember. In Superior, I almost chased the rabbit so far off I lost my train of thought.
I was going to reel you back in. It's okay.
Okay, it's okay. Have you thought about the fact that it took Dr. Octopus taking over Peter Parker's body and essentially his mind, kind of more or less, to get him to create Parker Industries, and Peter Parker having to live inside his own body and see what he was capable of for him to become this Tony, for lack of a better term, this Tony Stark-like person. Dr. Octopus, and I wish I could remember his real name, Otto something.
Otto Octavius.
Thank you, Otto Octavius. Otto Octavius had to show him what he was capable of so he could achieve it.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it always confused me because Peter Parker is, on par with Tony Stark and Reed Richards and Hank McCoy and all those brilliant scientist guys. But you always saw him, being poor Peter Parker running around, get his date with Mary Jane Watson gets interrupted by, the Vulture or, Green Goblin or, and he's always just poor Peter Parker and, he's always running out of web fluid. And it's like, dude, you're a brilliant scientist. Why are you not running around in some great powered armor or at least have some cool gadgetry going on?
Well, you wonder, at least I wonder if back when they originally conceived a Superior Spider-Man and gave Otto Octavius, is that correct? Otto Octavius?
Yeah, Otto Octavius, yeah.
Yeah.
Doc Ock.
Doc Ock, there we go. When they came up with that Superior Spider-Man storyline, if they thought this far ahead to transform Peter Parker, not Spider-Man, but Peter Parker into this character.
I certainly think so.
I hope so. And I hope this isn't like I hope this isn't a 6-month thing. I hope they keep this Peter Parker around for a long time because I'm really enjoying what I see him. And you can still get jokes, like in issue 1 where he had his fly open during a press conference. I mean, you can still, he can still make fun of himself and we can still have the fun Peter Parker, but it's at the same time, he can still be the brilliant scientist that he's always been.
Right. Yeah. I really hope this is the direction they're taking Peter Parker because Superior Spider-Man was fantastic. And that's why, because he was using his intellect in his Spider-Man heroics. And that's what I really enjoyed from that series. And I think that makes for an interesting take on Spider-Man.
Yeah, it does. And it really, outside the Spider-Man character, really in this book, we're almost getting more Peter Parker than we are Spider-Man. And it's a good Spider-Man story. Let's not take away from that. You've got this group of terrorists called the Zodiac who are trying to steal secrets from Parker Industries.
Dude, who are old school. I mean, I hadn't seen the Zodiac in, man, we're talking 60s, maybe 70s.
I thought they were a new group.
No, man, we're talking. Let me put it this way: you got to go back to the hippies. That's when they were created in the late 60s, early 70s.
Oh wow, okay, throwback then. That's cool.
It's way thrown back, man.
Yeah, but considering Dan Slott's been writing Spider-Man for ever, I really think Superior Spider-Man was a way to set up and kind of test the idea of this kind of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and I think they did that whole series in order to set this up. Because if you notice, this Spider-Man book really just jumps straight back into where they were before Secret Wars. It's almost as if nothing happened.
Everything has. Let's just pause a moment here. Everyone thought, and let's talk about these books in general for a moment.
Yeah.
Everyone thought they were going to blow up their universe. And all along, Marvel said, no, we're not destroying everything. It's like Spider-Gwen. I read that, and I was kind of confused. And I actually had is it at the end of her book? No, at the end of the book, there's a bio page there. And it says, she's living on Earth 65. You're like, wait a minute. I thought we destroyed all the Earths. Well, we did. But they're back. Okay. Well,
yes.
didn't we destroy them all in all those New Avengers books where, you got the Illuminati trying to keep all the Earths from colliding and all the Earths were destroyed? Weren't they all destroyed? Yeah. Are they all back now? Yeah, kind of. If you want the honest truth, it's an ongoing process.
Right. And that's part of what some of these what if books are about.
Yeah, hear me, it's an ongoing process. Okay.
Right. And, it kind of frustrates me, though. I can't read the end of Secret Wars because it might make a little more sense.
I tell you what, when you're here Thursday night, I'm going to hand them to you.
Okay. All right. I'm down with that.
Yeah, I'm just going to hand you 7, 8, 9 when I'm at work Friday, you can read 7, 8, 9.
Yeah. Spoiler alert, folks. We're going to be doing a in studio episode next week. I'll be in town for the Beale Street Music Festival, so it'll be the two of us jokers in a room live together. It'll be like a 6-hour episode. Not really, but it'll probably be a larger episode than normal. Yeah, man. You should be reading the Spider-Man book because it's good.
But they didn't. They didn't blow up the whole universe, and what they did is they reset their universe.
Yeah,
and they like things like Parker Industries. You barely see any changes. They jumped ahead 8 months again, but you barely notice any changes. If you went from the last Spider-Man book to Spider-Man #1, you wouldn't notice a change. You wouldn't. A little richer, a little more offices. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you could read the previous Spider-Man stuff, skip Secret Wars, and start reading this, and it's like you didn't miss a beat.
Not a beat, none. Like Secret Wars never happened.
Yeah, and that's not like you said. They thought everybody thought they were gonna blow up the universe, and they didn't. And I wonder if this maybe was a better way to go.
Yeah, they reset some things. They wanted to tweak. And
yes.
This allowed them to tweak in areas.
Yes, it allowed them to mold the areas they wanted and keep what they wanted and get rid of what they didn't want. And instead of just blowing up a whole universe and starting from scratch, which in the case of DC Comics has not worked out.
No, at this point they've done it so many times it's a joke.
Right, it's just what you expect them to do every 3 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Moving on to Iron Man #2, man, I don't even know where this is going.
I don't either. It's comedy. It's Doctor Doom. It's
a very different.
What's the villain's name? What's the villain's name? Yeah, I kept thinking Whitney Frost, and I couldn't think of her character name.
Yeah,
a very different Doctor Doom. A very different Doctor Doom because of Secret Wars.
Yes.
A Doctor Doom that is trying to be a hero, possibly.
I don't trust it. Just to be a little spoilery with this book, Doctor Doom seems to have turned over a new leaf. I don't. Even if he has, he's still working to his own gain. He's doing this to benefit himself in some way, and I don't trust him. Although we see in one of the later books, I think it was one of the Avengers books, you've got Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe running around as the Maker, who is much more Doom-like than his counterpart, and maybe he's taking over the role of that Doctor Doom villain, and you're actually going to have Victor Von Doom be a good guy for once. That'd be an interesting thing to play around with. I'm
going to tell you, I want to go back and read those Ultimate books. I'm going to find me an Ultimate reading guide and go back and read those Ultimate books and figure out how that Reed Richards got so screwed up, man. Somebody peed in his oatmeal when he was a kid. Holy cow.
Somehow he's 1,000 years old. I don't know how that happened either.
I don't either. I want to go back and read those books and figure, because when Fantastic Four starts, he's just normal Reed. And I read
just Reed Richards.
Right. I read enough of those books to know at some point he takes he makes a heel turn. So there's another wrestling term for you. At some point he becomes a bad guy. And I read that, but I don't know when he became this really, really, really bad guy. I mean,
evil.
Yeah. It goes from making a couple of bad choices to like evil, Yeah.
Yeah, man. This Iron Man book's good, written by Brian Michael Bendis. Don't know who the artist is. I don't know. But
good
it's
art,
really
whoever
good.
did it.
Doctor Doom had a wand of Watum and didn't tell anybody. That's weird.
What is that thing?
The last time anybody knew about one, it was the only one that we knew about was in the possession of Doctor Strange, but it's a powerful magical artifact that could be used to potentially take over the world. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of details about it. It's just always one of those items that gets listed in, when you're talking about magical artifacts that Doctor Strange keeps so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. But apparently there's multiple of them. Madam Mask is looking for one. And
I like how Doctor Strange or Doctor Doom, excuse me, explained that there are multiple universes, and every now and then these things just kind of show up on Earth. So there you go. He gives a very good explanation of it.
Well, I like the idea that, the reason Earth is so significant is because it's this cross point of all these dimensions and ley lines, and it's, it sits on a prominent area within the universe. And, sometimes the Nernstones show up, or the Infinity Gems.
Yeah. And that kind of blew Tony's mind. Somebody's doing Brian Michael Bendis is just doing a great job of writing Tony Stark in this book.
Oh, Brian Michael Bendis writing Tony Stark is some of my favorite writing. The only person who writes Tony Stark better is Matt Fraction.
Yeah, there you go.
By the way, plug, because this is Marvel Unlimited. If you should really read Matt Fraction's run on Invincible Iron Man from a few years ago. It happens during Dark Reign. So you've got Norman Osborn running SHIELD, which he renames Hammer. And Tony Stark's running around deleting his own brain because Norman Osborn wants the list of all the registered heroes, and the only copy that is left is Tony's brain. So he's...
Oh, I remember that. That was a good storyline, wasn't it?
Yeah. And, of course, I like Matt Fraction anyway, but it was great writing on his part. It was a great story. You've literally got Tony, an international criminal, wanted man, chasing him all over the world, and he's deleting his own brain. At some point he doesn't know how to he forgets how to talk. He forgets how to do math. He just, he's just trying to outrun Norman Osborn long enough to get rid of that information.
Yeah, that was good. That whole Dark Reign storyline was pretty good. It was good.
Yeah, it was great. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But moving on to New Avengers.
Number one.
This
is Roberto Da Costa's team of Avengers, which
also known as Sunspot.
Also known as Sunspot, the former X-Men.
Yep.
Back before Secret Wars, he purchased AIM. Turns out you could just buy the stock and buy them, and he did. And, he bought AIM Island and all the scientists that goes with it, and bought himself some heroes, some of questionable reputation. I guess hired some heroes would be better terms. Mm-hmm. And now they're an Avengers team. And if you read that book that we were teasing at the beginning, that you can find at www.6monthsbehind.com. If you watch wrestling long enough, you learn how to plug things. Everything I needed to know in life, I learned from watching wrestling. Where that just came from.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I'm going to fish you out of this black hole. Yeah, this New Avengers book, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I really did. You've got an interesting team, You've got Wiccan, who I really like. You got who else was on this team? Songbird, who last I saw was a villain. Wasn't she a villain?
I'm sorry, I was laughing so much I cut my mic off. She's going back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. See, last time I saw her, she was a villain. You got Hulkling. See, all these guys are so even. I literally just read this today.
A mix of the new Avengers, the Young Avengers, couple of villains thrown in.
Yeah, you got White Tiger, Power Man, Songbird, Hulkling, and Squirrel Girl, who I imagine with a Southern accent for some reason.
Next week we get the Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1. I'm so excited.
I'm totally going to read that because I really like Squirrel Girl. I'll be honest.
You know, there is something about her in that book that I found entertaining. I don't know what.
I like her little squirrel friend who seems to be more than what he seems. Yes, Tippy Toe the squirrel that she's running around with.
Somehow my mind goes back to that issue of New Avengers where she and Wolverine. Anywho.
Yeah, anyway, you got...
We're so far off the rails.
No, it's fine. They're the new... they're calling themselves the Avengers Idea Mechanics. Is that
Dugan, right? Yes. Dum Dugan doesn't trust them. So he and Hawkeye are there to investigate, and he is putting Hawkeye on the team to trust him. And if anyone remembers, I believe Hawkeye and Songbird have a history. Or maybe it was Hawkeye and...
That's Mockingbird.
Mockingbird. No.
Yeah.
No. Because Hawkeye was in charge of the. Well, first off, Hawkeye's slept with a lot of girls.
Yes, he has.
Secondly, it was Moonstone, and I think he slept with. I think he slept with her too.
And he got with Jessica Jones, Spider-Woman, not Jessica Jones, Jessica.
Oh yeah, man! There's that issue of that series of Secret Avengers where he goes to space with the two of them at the same time and wants nothing but to get out of the car, but he can't.
Yeah, it gets real awkward.
Yeah, it's real awkward. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Spider-Woman's pregnant, by the way. Don't know where that came from.
So off the rails.
No, it's fine. Yeah, anyway.
You keep assuring me it's fine.
Dude, Dum Dugan shows up, says, Clint Barton's going to be on your team. He's my spy. I'm just going to not act like you're an idiot. I love Dum Dugan, man. I really kind of hope he shows up in this series a little more because he's just Dum Dugan's just great. He's hilarious.
Did he make a reference to himself of being immortal in there?
No, he's a robot.
Is he an LMD? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, he was like, yeah, as I live and breathe. Well, I don't, but you get what I'm saying because he's an LMD with Dum Dugan's mind in it. That's how Dum Dugan's been around for so long. It's because at some point, Nick Fury created a bunch of LMDs.
That happened back during Secret. Crap.
It was actually fairly well. It happened a long time ago.
But but it happened. It was revealed during Yeah,
it was revealed during. When they
all
killed
the secrets came out.
Yeah,
when they killed the Watcher and all the secrets came. Y'all know what we're talking about. Anyway,
original
sin. Thank you. We're going to talk about original sin later, but not that original sin. A different original sin.
Yeah. And this is actually the Avengers book where the Maker shows up, who is evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe. So yes. you got an interesting cast of Avengers. You got them on AIM Island. It being
Sean is trying so hard to keep this on the rails.
I sure am. And I wasn't initially interested in this book. Now I'm interested in it. If their big bad is going to be evil Reed Richards, totally down.
Yes.
And the whole thing going on in Paris with people with crystal heads. That's weird. I don't know.
That was pretty cool, actually. I thought that was kind of neat. Spider-Gwen #1. Oh, come on.
I got about halfway through it and just couldn't.
I'll tell you the truth. I didn't either. I didn't either. I didn't like the art. I didn't like the story.
The art was fine. I didn't care a thing about the story.
I was fascinated. The main reason I read it is I was trying to figure out what Earth it was on, and I get to the end to find out it's on Earth 65, as we discussed a few minutes ago, And I was just like, okay, because I was trying to, this week we have Spider-Man 99, which we're about to discuss, Spider-Gwen, and Spider-Man. And I'm like, okay, because dude, there's like 6 Spider-Man ringing around in Earth 616.
Yeah, there's like a whole Spider-Man squad running around.
That all work for Peter Parker, by the way.
Yes.
And I was trying to figure out if the Spider-Gwen, if they had put Gwen Stacy back in Earth 616, which I assume they're calling it too, for no other reason. But apparently they didn't. She's in Earth 65. They kept her in her own Earth. They kept her in her own Earth with her own storyline. Although it is interesting that Frank Castle is the district attorney or the police chief.
He's captain of the police.
I was like, wow, Frank Castle, captain of the police. That's interesting. So neither one of us really liked Spider-Gwen. Okay.
I'll give it the second issue a shot, but I want to like this because I like Gwen Stacy and I like the idea of Gwen Stacy with spider powers, but it just didn't grab me.
Did Spider-Man 2099 grab you?
I hadn't had a second to read it. I'm sorry, man.
You know what? I did read it.
I knew you read it, so.
Here's the thing. I didn't realize until like halfway through that it was written by Peter David. And then I finished reading it, realized he wrote it. Peter David, of course, created, well, not of course, most people probably don't know that back in the 90s, he created and wrote all the Spider-Man 2099 books.
Yes.
It's really interesting because you've got to go back, I don't know, a couple of years and follow. Is this Miguel? Is that this Spider-Man?
Yeah, Miguel O'Hara, I want to say.
Miguel O'Hara, I think. And what he did is through his
Miguel
actions
O'Hara.
in coming back to 2016, we'll say, for lack of a better timeline reference, he destroyed the ultimate future.
Yes.
So in this 2099 #1, not only is he working for Parker Industries, dude, this has got a great beginning too. As Miguel O'Hara, he goes on American Ninja Warrior.
Oh, Lord.
And when he gets back to the office, Peter Parker is waiting on him on a conference call like, dude, did you think no one would notice? Okay, did you think no one would notice? Really? It's only like a 2-page scene, but it's great, man.
That is funny.
I mean, Peter's just ripping him a new one like, dude, you think no one's going to notice that you're not using spider powers? Okay, really? You like ran the course in 20 seconds. Okay, seriously, it's funny, but he's trying to fix the ultimate universe, and I won't get in the how and the mechanics.
2099 universe.
I'm sorry, the 2099 universe.
Yeah. Okay.
I won't get into the how and the mechanics, but it makes for an interesting read because he's here in 2016, and of course, he's fighting villains, he's doing this, he's doing that, but at the same time, he's working for Parker Industries, and he's doing things with Peter Parker. But at the same time, he's trying to fix the 2099 universe. So it makes for an interesting read.
Yeah, from the past, which is, I think that's a cool take on, his character and what he wants to do.
Yeah, it's a good read, man.
I will read it. It is. Yeah, I'm gonna transfer it up a little up higher on the read list.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, Peter David, dude. We both have artists and writers that we're fans of. I'm a huge Peter David fan. I think I said it a few weeks ago when we were talking about one of the Maestro books, one of the Secret Wars books. I'm a huge Peter David fan, and I think he did a great job with this book. Uncanny Avengers #1. Did you read any of the previous Uncanny Avengers book?
A little bit, but not a lot.
In the previous Uncanny Avengers book, Steve Rogers, Captain America, put together an uncanny team to make mutants and humans get along, to help mutants and humans get along, to show the world that mutants and humans can get along. In this book, at this time, he's wanting to show that because of the Terrigen Mist, that mutants, humans, and Inhumans can get along. So in this team, we have mutants, Inhumans, and humans.
Superpowered. Folk.
Yeah, it's a great read. It is. This is the team that Deadpool's on. You got Deadpool, Rogue,
Gary
Spider-Man.
Dugan wrote it, and I actually didn't love it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like the way. I didn't care for the art really. Particularly how they did Cap, and I really didn't like the way they wrote Cap. He seems like, I don't know.
What a grumpy old man that he is.
He seems like a grumpy old man who is, I don't know, not the thoughtful, far-seeing Captain America, but just a disgruntled old man who just, I don't know. At some point, you just see him pouring a beer and just being gruff, and I don't.
That's the really, problem, and we're about to jump off the rails again.
That's not Captain America.
Problem when you've got somebody like you used to have with Wolverine, and now you have with Captain America or Iron Man, who's in, sometimes literally 10 books a month. And that used to be the problem with Wolverine, is who was in 10 books a month. Is different writers write him differently. Maybe it's different verbiage, maybe it's different actions, maybe it's different characteristics with their powers, and there's not consistency there. And I know editors try and keep that straight, but sometimes those little differences creep in, and you wish it wouldn't, but they do. I disagree, but because I really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the characters they have there in Rogue and Deadpool, Spider-Man, Johnny Storm. Johnny Storm's there. Pietro is there. Actually, he's there and he's not. And he's not. He's there and he's not. And he's there.
Yeah, he's there and on 3 dates with three different women.
Say, yes, he's getting around.
Yeah. Well, and part of it was
I thought it was good. I thought it was very good.
And not to spoil, try not to spoil too much. They have a confrontation with a villain, and Deadpool who's the most questionable person on the team, does something very questionable, and Captain America backs him up fully, and that just doesn't seem like what Captain America would do. In fact, and they talk about it in the book. At one point, Rogue talks about, has Captain America been replaced with a Skrull? He's just not very characteristic of himself. You also see that when he has a little showdown with the Falcon in that Captain America book that we read last week. So I gotta wonder if Captain America has had a change of heart somewhere.
I just think he's a grumpy old man who's ticked at the world because he's now, has a body that's as old as he is.
Could be. That could be. And maybe that's where they're trying to take him.
We're only 2 issues into this, so maybe it is.
Yeah. Okay. It's only one Uncanny Avengers. It wasn't bad. I just didn't love it.
Yeah, there you go. How many thumbs? 2, 1, 3?
Half a thumb.
Dude, that's not, yeah. That's more than not loving it. That's almost hating it. I
could give it no thumbs.
I give it 3 or 4. 3.5. Okay. How about 3.5? Yeah. Okay, that brings us to the Star Wars books. And Darth Vader number 11, which I think we would both agree has at least 4, maybe 5.
Dude, if you're not reading this book, just get out of life. Reevaluate your priorities.
They might not be a Star Wars fan, man. Come on.
Listen, if you're not a Star Wars fan, you're lying. I don't believe you.
Oh, come on, man.
I understand. But no, even if you're not a Star Wars fan,
that's the thing about you. You have no opinions, man. You're just so stuck in the mud, You don't have no opinions about politics, You can't decide if you're a Republican or a Democrat or a liberal or conservative.
Yeah,
you just got no opinions about anything, man. You're just
I'm real middle of the road. I don't
I can't get you to take a position on nothing. Oh God! Okay.
Oh Lord. Anyway, Darth Vader. This is great. Darth Vader is running his own investigation into something.
You can't decide if you're going to vote for Trump or Sanders. You can't. You never flip a coin, man. You can't decide.
Shut up. You're making me for people who are listening to this and don't know that all of this is sarcasm. Anyway, Darth Vader.
He decided he decided when he was 6 he was going to vote for Hillary, okay? And he hasn't changed his mind since. Anyway. Darth Vader number 11.
This is a great series. I won't spoil it for you because you're rounding around to the culmination of this storyline. But it's Darth Vader searching for Luke Skywalker. and he's got the Empire up his tail about it, and yeah, it's good. It's really good.
Instead of model posters of models, swimsuit models in Sean's room, he had posters of Hillary when he was growing up.
No, I didn't.
Sure you did, man. Come on.
No, I didn't.
The Force Awakens #4, did that wrap up this series?
It did, and it was really good.
And I'm sad to see this. I promise you, man, Hillary, cutting him off of Time magazine covers and stuff. I'm sad to see this series end.
Yeah, I was too, and I kind of hope that we get to see these characters a little more. Because if you haven't been reading this series, it's literally right after Return of the Jedi. Like the series starts on the moon of Endor the morning after that celebration you see at the end of Return of the Jedi, and you see that the Emperor, even from beyond the grave, had contingency plans in place to do horrible things. In this particular issue, you got Luke Skywalker. You got Luke
Skywalker. What?
Something. You got. It's a little late at night that we're recording this, so we're both a little weird.
Tired.
Tired, yes. But you got Luke Skywalker doing what he does best, infiltrating an Imperial base and just blowing it up.
I haven't read it yet. That sounds good.
Dude, Luke Skywalker, man. He's in your base blowing it up. That's what he does.
There you go.
Death Star, Imperial Science Lab, like here. Dude, great book. You get to see him stunting as a Jedi. It's got a nice, happy ending. Read it. If you like Star Wars, read it. If you don't like Star Wars, read it.
There you go. Miscellaneous books. That brings us to Deadpool vs. Thanos #4. We can officially say we gave it no thumbs because we didn't read it. We in agreement?
Nope. Don't care.
Don't care.
If it's your thing, cool. I don't care.
We talked about it last week. Deadpool, love him. Thanos, love him. Same comic book? No. Okay.
And I even like Tim Seeley. I mean, Tim Seeley's all right, but I just don't care to whatever, man.
Whatever. The What If books. I did not get to read these. Did you read one of them or both of them?
I've read both of them. What If Infinity Dark Reign is very good. It's okay until about halfway through it, and then you get about halfway through it and it really ramps up. The idea is that after the Infinity War, Norman Osborn ends up with the Infinity Gauntlet with all the gems. You can imagine what that's like. It is Norman Osborn with his Dark Avengers ruling the planet. And at some point during that fight, Captain America somehow brings Norman Osborn's father back from the past. And most of the comic book is Norman Osborn and his father having a conversation about how his father thought he'd never amount to anything, and now he has all this power. And it gets into some really interesting areas. Like, he has the ability to make anyone he wants love him, but he knows at the end of the day that it's warping of reality and it's not genuine. And actually got distracted about halfway through reading the book, thinking about an all-powerful being who would create beings who could love their creator with free will instead of just because he said so. But that's not this podcast. Yeah, dude. And you see how crazy Norman Osborn is, just how insane he is. There's something that he proclaims to be his greatest achievement. And when you see what it is, it'll make your blood run cold.
And Infinity X-Men?
It was okay.
It was okay. There you go.
Yeah. Go read the Infinity Dark Reign thing. It ends really good too. The What If X-Men, it was all right.
Have you been reading these Shield books? Shield #11 came out this week.
No, I was going to read Shield 11. I just didn't get to it.
Dude, have you watched the Shield episode that came out this week on TV?
Yes.
Wasn't that awesome?
It was. Oh man, the last 3 episodes of the show have just been fantastic,
dude. And the ending in the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes of this episode was just It was awesome. Holy cow, was that good? Okay. I think that sums up the new books this week. What did we get in the dump? What are these books we got in the dump this week?
They're Marvel Adventures. I remember when these came out a few years ago. They're like Avengers and Marvel books for a younger audience. Not exactly kids. That's right. They're not exactly kids, but imagine like 10 to 15. You know, you may not necessarily want your 10-year-old reading
I think they were for kids. I think it was like 8 to 15, wasn't it?
Something like that. Yeah, it was definitely for a younger generation,
because this is when Marvel was like really pushing the Marvel Knights series, you know, for adults.
Was it? This is 2009, 2010. So
no, you get to the back end, you got 2006, 2007, 2002.
Yeah, but Marvel Knights was late 90s, early 2000s. Because that's when, I mean, Joe Quesada was the artist on a bunch of those books, and yeah, he's running the place now. Either way, I did not read any of them just because it's older stuff and I wasn't interested. Plus, you know, I tend to stick to the in-universe stuff. If it's not happening in 616 universe or something related to it, I'm kind of not really interested. But I imagine they're okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you got Chris Sotomayor writing one, Roger Cruz. Yeah, I mean,
the art looks good on the cover. It's just, you know,
the covers do look good. I'm sure this is good stuff. If you want to read it, check it out.
I'm still waiting for Supervillain Team Up and Defenders and Marvel Team Up. You know, there's a lot of stuff you can dump besides Marvel Adventures.
Yeah.
Come on.
You got this Iron Man Armored Adventures book.
Somebody up there work with me.
Looks like a tie-in with probably the Iron Man cartoon that came out a few years ago, and then an Iron Man Hulk Fury one-shot that tied into the movies from a few years back. And that's pretty much what we got this week.
Where can you find that Iron Man cartoon online?
You might be able to find it on Hulu. It's on, if you got cable, it's on Disney XD sometimes, which is also where Star Wars Rebels is, and you should be watching that too.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, dude, their season finale this season was just bananas.
Yeah, you told me it was good.
Oh, wow. If you're a Star Wars,
season 1's on Netflix.
I
got it queued up on Netflix. Matter of fact, season 1 and 2 may be on Netflix. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah. That Iron Man, I've watched a little bit of it. It's all right.
Okay, so the classics. Let me tell you something I learned. I got an email from one of them. Couple hundred emails I got from CBR this week, and there's CBR is a great website. I'm actually going to start another page on our website, www.sixmonthsbehind.com, that just links to all the comic book websites because there's so many. There's actually a website that gives you the reading list for every Marvel comic book in chronological order. Starting with Fantastic Four #1 in the date they were published. Not understand what I'm saying. Like, okay, Fantastic Four came out 2, 3, then the first Ant-Man book came out, then Fantastic Four #4, the second Ant-Man book came out, then the first Iron Man book, then Fantastic Four #5, then the third Ant-Man book. I mean, we're talking chronological publication date order. There's a website out there that has them listed that you can read them in that order if you want to. Seriously. Through like, I don't even know. I think it runs somewhere through the 2000s. I got tired of looking. It's insane.
Holy crap. That's a lot that's literally 40 years worth of books.
It's insane, brother. I mean, it's just that somebody would go to that much trouble to put that on a website. But anyway, so CBR is a great website. And as we discussed earlier, I subscribe to their email list. So there's a guy who writes a column. I think comes out once, twice a week. It's called Exposition. And in Exposition, one of the things he wrote about was storylines that did or didn't happen. And in 2008, there was a storyline that came out called X-Men Original Sin. Now, this is not to be confused. This is not to be confused with the original Sin storyline that came out a couple of years ago. Big crossover book, limited series, went on all summer.
Yeah, Nick Fury killed the Watcher.
Right. That's not this. No. That's not this. This was a X-Men one-shot. So if you look under X-Men in the Discover tab, no, the Browse tab. Browse?
Yeah, Browse.
Yes, Browse. Yeah, you got to look in Browse. You got to look under that, and then you find X-Men, and you look under Original Sin, and you'll see one issue. And you'll see X-Men Original Sin #1. Now, from there, you read that book, very good book. From there, it leads you to the next X-Men Origins book. From there to X-Men Legacy. And then the book flips back and forth. The story flips back and forth for the next few months in real time between Origins and Legends. And it goes on for several months, so it's several issues of Original Sin that ran through Origins and X-Men Legacy. Excuse me, Legacy. What did I say? Legends? X-Men Legacy.
Yeah.
It's a great story. And it started in Origins, Original Sin #1, and it goes back and forth between Origins and Legacy. Great story, but it's something that you don't. If you go to the Discover tab, you're not going to find it, because I looked in the Discover tab while we were prepping for the show. It's not there. You're not going to you're not going to find it under Wolverine stories or anything like that. It's just one of those things that's just hanging out there. It's this great storyline that's just there. And you just got to know to look for it. Once you look for it, you're like, holy cow, this is like 10 issues of great reading that maybe did or didn't happen. Who really knows? I don't know if it did or didn't happen. Who knows? But it's a great story, but you got to find it. You got to go looking for these classic stories and these crossovers, and you got to read them. It's like the Kree Skrull War from Avengers 98. You got to find it. You got to be looking for it and find it to know these stories are out there and find them. And that's the only way I found Original Sin #1 is I happened to get that email from CBR. The storyline looked cool, and he was explaining whether or not Professor X really did or didn't brainwash Wolverine into joining the X-Men. Which, if that's not a tease to get you to read it, I don't know what is. And that's what the whole story is about, is whether or not Professor X did or didn't brainwash Wolverine into joining the X-Men. So yeah, I thought, well, that's cool. So I, of course, read Original Sin #1, and then you keep going. There's, it's got the Hellfire Club in it. And it's got a bunch of great characters, man. It's a good book. It's a very good book. Good series.
What is it that makes you think that it did or didn't happen? How'd you draw that conclusion?
It's one of those things where, was it Daniel Way who wrote it? And Daniel Way wrote it, or maybe he drew it. I don't know. It's one of those things where somebody writes something, and Marvel, like a year or two later, is like, no, that really didn't happen.
It's just one of those storylines that gets left, and there's no repercussions, and you just never speak of it again.
You just never speak of it again. I'm trying to think. It's like, okay, everybody knows Tony Stark is an alcoholic. I'm trying to think of a really good of another storyline that's like, oh, that didn't happen. What's one that just they did and everybody forgot? I can't even.
I don't know.
But what he says here is that they did this, made a really big deal about it. Professor X brainwashed Wolverine into joining the X-Men. Someone sent Wolverine to. Well, I'm running the story here for you. Came up with this intricate plot that should have laid the groundwork for many, many issues, and he just kind of left it. It's just really didn't do anything with it. Just didn't. Yeah, didn't do anything with it. Just left it. Yeah, that never happened.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I read it.
Here's an example for you. When they killed Jean Grey. Okay, the last time they killed Jean Grey, she and Wolverine rode a space shuttle into the sun. Wolverine kills her. And the last we see of her, she's a Phoenix X sitting on the moon, right?
Yeah, and then you just never touch that again.
Yeah. So is she still a Phoenix X sitting on the moon?
No, because they've relaunched the universe at this point.
But is she still there?
We don't know. Probably not.
How many times have we seen the Phoenix since then? So what happened to Jean Grey and the Phoenix X on the moon?
Dude, I don't know.
That's where that's where Grant Morrison left her.
Yeah, well, it's Grant Morrison, man. That guy does a lot of drugs.
But that's I mean, that's the kind of thing that they just leave hanging.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you look at a plot and go, you know what? We're just gonna step around that because it's inconvenient for the way we want to tell stories.
Yeah, so you wanted an example, and that's an example where you leave a plot line dangling, and then you just never go back to it. You just never
completely ignore it.
Yeah, let's forget that we left Jean Grey hibernating on the moon.
I mean, at some point, the Phoenix Force comes back to Earth, ignores the fact that Jean Grey's on the moon, and goes to this new.
It's been back like half a dozen times.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gotten in Emma Frost, it's gotten in the Cuckoos, it's came from the whole AVX thing. It's been here half a dozen times at this point. And
reading those books, you get the impression that Jean Grey's just dead. She's gone. And
she's gone.
Wait, isn't she in an egg on the moon? No, no, that didn't happen. Go.
No,
shut up.
Yeah, we're fighting on the moon. All the X-Men and the Avengers fighting on the moon, and Jean Grey's in an egg right over there. No, she's not. No, not really.
Yeah, it's comic books, man. You can do that.
Yeah. All right, you got a tip for us?
I do. In the Discover tab, you will find at the top of the page a profile of War Machine. Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, been Iron Man's sidekick for a long time, got his own powered armor, and has been one of my favorite Avengers characters for a long time. But in here, you get his first appearance, how he met up with Tony Stark. You get to see him actually become Iron Man, take over when Tony's too drunk to pilot the suit. And he did that for a while. For how long was Rhodey Iron Man?
I really don't know. I don't. 10 or 12 issues.
Yeah, so like a year at least.
Yeah.
But then you see him go on with the West Coast Avengers, which I kind of like the West Coast Avengers.
I do. The West Coast Avengers were great, man.
Yeah.
They were almost as good as the Great Lake Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when there was just going to be a Avengers team for every region. Like who do you get to be the Deep South Avengers?
I don't know, but I bet they watch wrestling.
Probably so. But you also got Soldier's Duty in War Machine. It was during the Dark Reign time. It's when you found out that Rhodey had been seriously injured, and Tony basically built the War Machine armor into what was left of Rhodey's body to keep him alive. And he was the armor. There's very little. He was like Darth Vader, man. He basically was the machine. Just great stuff. James Rhodes being Rhodey, being War Machine, being a bad A.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Looks like real quickly next week we're going to get a new Angela book. Captain America Sam Wilson #2.
Cool.
Wow, not a lot. House of M #4. Howling Commandos, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That House of M series has been good. Kanan #7. Kanan.
That's a Star Wars book.
Yeah. An Unbeatable Squirrel Girl #1. Come on, man.
I can't wait. Do we know who's writing that?
Hang on, I'll tell you. Come on, load. It's not like we're stuck in a bunch of bandwidth here. Ryan North.
Never heard of him.
Me either.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a variant cover. I was going to say that's cute art, but that's a variant cover. Okay. Let's see. www, 6monthsbehind.com. Remember, everything you need to know you can learn by watching professional wrestling.
No,
Take us home, son.
That's not true. There's plenty of things you can learn from not watching professional wrestling. And do not take this man's advice. But I think that's going to do it for this week. You can also hit us up at 6 months behind. That's the number 6 and months behind at gmail.com with questions, comments, lunatic ravings, whatever you want. Your
Wrestling
favorite
questions.
meme, perhaps wrestling questions. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay. We're going to get out of your hair for this week. We will see you all next week for the big in-studio extravaganza. Everyone have a good evening. And Pat, are you going to go watch some wrestling?
Yes, actually I may. Yes.